All right, here we are. Welcome, Gessica Généus. She's the director of the debut feature Freda, one of 8 films we have in the feature film competition this year. And I'm so happy to meeting you online. Hello, Gessica.
Happy. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much for your empowering film. It's really such a strong film. It's a film about the spirit in Haiti. It shows the hard life of people, especially the women, but it also catches this very cheerful atmosphere. First of all, just very simple, what motivated you to make this film, to tell this fictional story? Because you made documentary films before, but this is your first feature-length documentary film. What was the starting point for you?
It's all mixed up in my head because I never feel like there were, a moment where I actually decide to do something. But I also know that I try as much as I can to listen to myself and to the need and to the medium that is the best that I can use, to explore a question. And in that case, in Freda's case, the question was, what are we doing wrong? What are we missing in this big picture that is blocking us from moving forward as a nation, And how can we look that closely and maybe find an answer, or maybe find a better way to move, through all this struggle, and maybe leave a testimony for our generation and probably or hopefully the next one. So this is very big analysis and big questions, but also I think on a very personal level, I just wanted to see people that I grew up with, that I love, that also that kind of, they are part of who I am, but the good side, but also the dark side of it. They built you, but they also destroyed you in some way, So it's, I think I was also very obsessed about that, to understand them and to see how I can redefine my relationship with them, whether it's with my mother or with my older sister that I completely cut tie with, or any other members of my family where the relationship is extremely complicated because of the way we see life, or the way we decide to react to what was happening in our lives. So I think Freda is a combination of a look on the big scale, the country, the nation, trauma on a big scale, and trauma on a very personal scale, which is within the family.
Oh yeah, that's already very, it explains a lot. Thank you.
Do you hear the kids? I don't know if you hear.
I do. I have them above. I was wondering if you hear them from above as well. Are they yours?
No, I live next to a school, so they always
okay. Nice one. Yeah, talking about, because you mentioned the relationship in your family, and that was the next point. I mean, they're very strong and brave women at the center of your film. Some of them made awful experiences. They have their certain kind of weakness as well. And especially Jeanette. Let's talk about Jeanette. She's such a complex character. She finds comfort in her faith, and she has this very, very different attitude towards each of her children. Can you talk a little bit about her character?
Yes, Janet is, I wanted to explore this aspect of the motherhood, this perception of the mother that we are supposed to have, or that was, implemented in our mind. In a sense that they have an answer for everything, or they are the one leading, or they are the the strong center of the family, and completely neglecting the aspect of the human aspect of it. I mean, not even an aspect, because they are human above all, with all what that means to be a human being, but when you say mother, it's like you're not saying human anymore, you're saying something that is above human, humanity. And I think it's beautiful when you're saying, the words are beautiful, but in reality, the burden that it is for both of us, for her, and for you expecting so much from her, it's just unbearable. So you spend your entire life trying to, waiting for that superhuman to manifest, but but it's not happening until you you become a mother yourself, and you realize, oh my God, this is like, you're far away from a superhuman. So you start to deconstruct everything, and in Freda's case, she is slowly navigating to what kind of woman she wants to be, even though she's not experiencing motherhood yet, or maybe she'll never, or maybe she will, we'll never know, but at least she is in this part of the journey where she's actually trying to look at this woman for who she is and what she has, in her luggages, walking through life, and how is she doing? What are the tools? What? So to analyze her exactly how she is, and instead of analyzing it how she wished, she was. So Janet is she constructs this very, very particular reality in her mind, where she chooses what she wants to see, she chooses what she wants to acknowledge. She and then, but you can see that what she's constructed, what she built in her mind is not working necessarily, For example, when this man, this senator came to pick up her daughter, you could clearly see after they left, that she was disturbed by the situation, but that she pretended not to understand what was, she construct another perception of the reality in her mind.
And yet there is a situation where she blames after the marriage her daughter of being a bad wife, This is such a lack of solidarity, I would say, and at the same time Freda steps in.
Yes.
So there's always this lack of solidarity, and it's always shifting in your
yeah, those three pillars that are trying to balance things, but at the same time, for Janet, from her perception of in life, is if you can feed yourself, then you've already accomplished a lot. And it's this clash between the two generations of, I want more than being able to feed myself and and have a house to live. I want more than that, and from her perception, from how hard it was for her to even feed herself and having to take care of the kids. So for her, if you have money, it should be okay. It should be, the top priority. If this guy does things to you that hurts you, it's okay, because at the end of the day, you still have a place to live and you still have food. So the perception of what is necessary and what is, it's not the same for those two generations of women, So, and that's where the clash is constantly happening. And that's where, one of them, Freda or Esther, has to remind her that we are not taking your path. This is not what's happening, It's not a reproduction of what you've been through, or what you understand, from life. It's taking it to another level, It doesn't, and sometimes it's hard to communicate that, without anger, because it's like a separation, it's breaking point.
I mean, this negotiating different approaches is, I mean, this is what happens to all the films. So let's take a closer look at some other scenes that were really striking to me. I mean, like the very first one in the classroom, for example, at Freda's university, where one of the students says Creole is not a proper language, or later there's this line like, you're getting whiter by the day. which is to me a very double-faced compliment, seems at least to me. Or then there is this other scene where people are talking about skin lightening creams and the force to speak French. So this negotiation between what you're supposed to do or what you like to do is, I mean, this is like the base of your film. Can you explicate a little bit on this? I mean, on these contradictions and maybe on this, I don't know, colorism in Haiti these days, or for the generation these days?
It's I mean, the question of choice is something that has been, very present in my mind, because the sensation that we are just, victim that are, and we have no choices. I think we might have little, less choice, but choice is always there. Choice is always there. And when you see, for example, Esther's choice, to fell into what is needed, what she think is needed, for her to get out of where she is, whether it's to make her skin lighter or to have this behavior, to be a seductive woman and everything. And thinking that this is the easy choice, because sometimes that's what they say in my country, or you take the easy road. And I wanted to make exist the fact that there is no easy road at the end of the day, whether it's Freda that is obsessed about the fact that she can fight for her country, she can, participate in building something. It's also as suicidal as Esther, but it's a choice, and I didn't want to be in that area of saying that Freda, because it's a moral choice and because it comforts us in what, the perception that we have on humanity, then therefore I should show her succeeding in because that's not what's happening. A lot of us are taking decisions here right now, not knowing, what will be the consequences, and will we even be able to live through, the next day or the next year, or what will happen. But we take them anyway, because this is where we find the strength to actually move forward. And whether it's colorism also, because here, of course, the lighter you are, the more you're perceived as beautiful, or everything that goods come that comes from it. But it's still a poor country. So whether you're being perceived as beautiful doesn't mean that suddenly everything is gonna work perfectly for you, But of course, people's behaviors are different with you, So there is the upside of it. And since since for a lot of us it's very important, or maybe all of us, it's very important how people see you, how people react to you. So a lot of time, and a lot of young people are changing colors so they can be perceived differently, and maybe it makes them feel like they are not in the same social class anymore. Like they took it to another step. So it's very complicated. It's a lot of there's a lot of dialogue that could easily be, that we could have on so many aspects. But if you're making a testimony of this generation, all those aspects just exist, not as problem, like a big subject, but just as daily life spices, if I can say it like that. It's just there, whether it's the conversation about colorism, or the conversation, the politic, or Creole, or what we need to get out of this country and to make sure that we can make it, somewhere else. What tools do we need to focus on? Because it's not about, is Creole beautiful, or Creole is the language of revolution and fighters in Haiti. It's about, can I go to France or to the US, and mostly the US, because they think a lot about the US, and use it as a tool, So yeah.
In one interview I read, you said that international aid is based on the same concept as colonization, and then that it's needed when people or organizations come. I mean, in that case to Haiti, but it's, I mean, there thousands places we could talk about, that with this mission to help, that they need to listen to the people. That's what you said, and see what is really needed and what is not needed and what to do. And do you see any progress in that in Haiti these days?
No, I don't think so. I don't think, because it's a human dynamic, you know. We can name it in different names, but it's human. Human coming, you know, to a place, and this dynamic of power and domination. It's beyond color. It's about who has the capability to go over and to do this and to do that, you know. And as long as we as a nation, you know, we are in this position, we are a small island, you know, in the Caribbean, we yet, of course, at some point we represented 25% of France income, and they literally built, for example, the Palais de Versailles on, you know, on the income that was coming from the colony. So that's why when they say that we are poor, I said, they take everything away from us. It's different from we are poor, because we had something, we had a lot. And that's why people had interest in the island, you know? So the same dynamic of, if you have nothing, then you have nothing to say about what I'm giving you. You know, that's what is complicated with helping. Yeah. And as long as the people doesn't have respect for you as a human being, then there can be no help. Whether it's money given or time given, you know, or knowledge given. You need to feel like you are on a level of, you know, of respect, where we can both respect each other. If you don't respect my culture, because our culture has been perceived as, you know, demon, whatever, voodoo, all kinds of stuff. So, and if you don't see obvious money in the country, I don't know how to say it, but if it's not obvious to you that I can handle things by myself, if I have a corrupted government, there's no way that you can come, unless I'm lucky and I find someone, you know, that really understand the human dynamic, which so far has not been the case. So as long as our situation as a nation is like that, the dynamic of helping will remain the same, you know, because the dynamic of helping is the dynamic of power. And if there is not equality in it, then one will decide about the fate and the future of the other. And there is nothing the other can do about it, you know? And that's why, for me, my focus is on my people, you know, because I said, if we can raise that, then maybe. As long as we stay where we are, it's complicated.
And with Freda, I mean, you created a figure of hope, I would say. I mean, and I was wondering if you would say that there are many young people like Freda who believe in the future of Haiti and decide to fight for their autonomy. Would you call it like a movement, or is she also kind of ideal?
No, she's not, because I mean, we're 12 million. That's a lot. Like, and at some point, if those 12 million people cannot leave, then of course they're gonna have to fight to have a better life. You know, I mean, it's survival instinct. You know, beyond idealistic. You know, so Freda is definitely not the only person. You know, she's definitely not. I remember that I read something about you know, a young guy that saw the film in Montreal. He's Asian, so he left the country a couple of years ago, and he decided to write a piece about the film. And then what I loved about it, because at the beginning he said when he went to see the film, he thought it was about the voodoo goddess, because Freda is the name of a voodoo goddess in the voodoo mythology in Haiti. So he thought it would say, you know, he would see a lot of about voodoo and stuff. And then he said, as he was diving into the film, he realized that Freda has been with him his whole life while he was studying in his neighborhood. This is the type of woman that he grew up with. And I think it's one of the most wonderful things that I've read about, because that's what I wished to exist, you know, what I wished them to see, that we are actually living we are actually living with people that are fighting with us, you know, to make this place better. And he saw Freda, like he saw so many other young women around him, you know, and young men also. So this is what it is, you know. Freda is she's not alone in her quest, you know, and her desire to live a better life. And unfortunately, I don't know if it's unfortunate, but they talk a lot about the 10,000 on the border, you know, of Texas, but not those 12 million people staying there. And I think it's important to remember that, you know, that it's not like all the country left. There's still like a lot of them. Still
and that is definitely what your film does in this way. I mean, it's not only this this family story, I mean, as you mentioned in the beginning, that you tell, but it's also, I mean, it's a dry expression, but in that way, Freda is also a very informative film. I really learned a lot from your film, you know, and this is, I mean, this is how the whole film is constructed, not only, but also because of the documentary material that you used. How or why or when did you decide to use this material and to develop this combination of the documentary material and the fictional?
That's why I love to use the term controlled reality, because for me this is what it is. I'm not sure that I'm able to make fiction, and that's why I never okay, let me get that straight. There was a script for Freda, 80 pages of script. It was written down. We had a team. We had a production. Like everybody knows, a production, you know, can be done. But yet the content is as close to reality as it can be. There's nothing that has been added or twisted. It's just the way the story, you know, is being told, the way the events are happening, that is controlled, you know, and put in a certain way to make it flow. But everything inside of it. And so for me, that's what I can do. I can do that, you know. Because I cannot create the pure fiction. I cannot, because I feel like we're living in it. And everything seems so absurd to me in what they called real life. So I don't see why I would add up to that, because you know.
But I would agree, it works perfectly. Did you shoot the material of this demonstration or rights yourself? Yes. Or is it okay?
At the time, I didn't know. I was not thinking about Freda at the time that I was filming those demonstrations, because I would go to them, you know, with a group of people, not only me, of course, a bunch of us, thousands of us. And the government used to say that, oh, nobody is on the street. It's just, you know, they're just crazy people talking, you know, random stuff, but there's nothing happening. So we had to document and to put on social media,
okay,
make sure that they understand that it was a real movement, you know, this anti-corruption and what's happening. So I used to document, not only me, lots of friends. And also that's what happened when I started to make the film. I knew that I would use those footage. So I gathered them from everybody that I knew that was with me, or not even with me, you know, just there, and that we're filming. So I took all of this, you know, to make sure that I'm able to use it. So yeah, so that's, I don't know, fiction is, you see, for example, in the film, you remember when Janet said, oh my God, look at my baby, she's like a queen, you know, when she came with that.
Yeah.
The other day, because I have my natural hair, like my big fro and everything. Yeah. So I wanted to make a change, you know, I went to the beauty, whatever. So I kind of straightened them a little bit, not that much. So, and I combed my hair and I went to my mother. She said the exact same sentence. She said, oh my God, look at my daughter. She looks like a queen. Because I had my hair straight, you know, because she hated when I have this big afro on my head. And I look at her and I was like, you literally just said, like in my mind, I said, you literally just said again, this exact sentence, you know, with word for word. And I love that feeling, you know, I love it.
Okay. And I mean, we observe that, I mean, you've been an actress and a singer long before you've started directing. what I learned from your bio. And what we observe is that more and more actresses take the lead and into directing, what I find great, because a lot of men used to do this for ages, you know, being an actor and then just going behind the camera. And yeah, I was wondering, because you also, I mean, for this movie you worked with non-actors, and I was wondering in how far, I mean, did you improvise a lot, and did your being an actress for a long time, in how far did it help you, or confirm that you can do that? Switch into directing?
Yeah, I switched into directing because, you know, I studied in France. I had an agent and I could not find any part in any films. So, and I'm a very impatient person, like extremely impatient, almost like a disease. And I said to myself, there's no way that I'm gonna, you know, if I want to make film a career, I need to find another way to exist in that medium, because it's not happening the way it's supposed to happen, you know, as an actress. And I'll never be able to live off of it, you know, it's just not possible. And also what people were, you know, giving me as script, as everything, they were far from what I wish to do. But also you cannot force people to do what you want to play, you know. I said, maybe I should write what I want to play. And I wrote Freda to play in it, you know. That's what, that was the goal. And as I was writing, you know, like I like to say, I was failing my casting because the more I write is the more I realize that, oh my God, this is not gonna be me.
Okay.
And at some point it was hard, but I tend to run away very fast from things that I know I cannot change, because I said, if you want to make a good film, it's not about the fact that you want to play it. It's about the fact that you want to make a good film, you know? So, and I gave up. I changed the entire cast 5 days before production.
Oh, really?
So and I didn't, there was no improvising more in the scenes or the dialogues. None at all. I actually took off a lot of dialogues that I wrote, but there was a lot of, I'm not saying improvisation, but documentary style behavior in filming, you know.
Okay.
I would make one take a lot of time. I would not say cut or action or things like that, you know. I would film whenever I feel like it was the right time. Most of the time they would think that I'm rehearsing, and I would film anyway, you know. So that's how I behaved. It was more in my behavior, because I don't think I don't trust improvisation. I'm scared of it a lot, you know, because I always feel like you need to be very good to do that, you know, as an actor, as to improvise but stay in the line and not saying too much, you know, or less. So I still kept the dialogues, but I gave them freedom to take off whatever they felt like, you know, was not sitting right in the way they were saying it. Yeah.
And what about the last scene? I mean, it's very impressive, and it really stays with you. It's like the picture of the film. It's very long. It's very long, and I had kind of feeling of hopelessness. I was just wondering. So, yeah, can you comment on that last one?
I filmed it for 30 minutes. I actually forget.
Oh, really?
I forgot that I was filming, actually, which happened a lot when I'm on that film. Sometimes I'm looking at them and I forget.
Okay.
I forget. Once the perch, the perchman, I don't remember how to say that in English.
The sound, or
the one holding
the sound, or
yeah, the sound guy, but the one holding the mic.
Yeah.
I can't remember. He stood up, you know, he stood like that for about 30 minutes. I forgot. I had to beg him after to forgive me, because I completely forgot, you know. Yeah. It was one of the scenes where the kids, you know, are with the balloons and everything. It lasted for almost an hour. I just, because I was just waiting, you know, I was just looking at them. And with Janet, this scene, I looked at her and I felt like she was lost. And because she was lost in the mind, I got lost in mine too. And then, you know, because we required silence on this little street that we were filming, so everybody was in silence. So there was like a very perfect silence that you rarely find in life, at least in Haiti, you know, because we are a very, very noisy country.
Yeah.
And then, so everybody was enjoying it, and everybody, the whole staff. And when she started crying, everybody started crying. And we had to hold, not to, you know, mess up the scene, because I could not film anymore. My DP, you know, Carrie and Oled could not film anymore. Nobody could work anymore, but you were just holding and staying with her. And at some point I cut, I'm like, this is torture, you know, we cannot. And
So
then yeah. So
you're
stopped.
definitely a kind of hybrid filmmaker between, I can now easily tell from what you're saying.
Sure.
Yeah, but I mean, that really, yeah, now I understand, and that really stays with me, that wonderful scene. Can you show your film in Haiti? Are there cinemas again? Yeah,
I did one screening. I'm fighting to do another one, because the thing is, since there is no infrastructure for cinema here, you need to have a lot of money if you want to do screenings, you know, and people need to pay, unfortunately, a lot of money to go there too. And so I'm trying to find financement to compensate for people not to pay that much, so I won't have to lose money, because you need, you know, I need to rent the sound, screen, the place, the venue, everything. Right. So we're working on it right now, but I did one screening after the earthquake that we had on the 14th of August. And because we wanted to give 50% of the proceeds to organization that was helping. And so we did that, but I've never been able to do other screenings yet. But it's gonna happen. It's happening soon. Yeah.
And I'm sure that you will have releases internationally wide, not only at festivals. You're going to the US now, and after the release of
It stayed a long time in France. I was surprised though, because they were kicking art house film like crazy, you know, out of theaters. And it stayed for 2 months. So hopefully we're trying to put it out in the US. It's, oh my God, this is a huge fight. This is like, I don't know how I'm gonna do that, but we are trying.
And after that, what comes next for you? Are you working on new films, or?
I'm trying to work on my next film, but I have to stop traveling. I have to stop traveling. You know, I have to sit down somewhere and do it. Because otherwise, you know, you blink and 2 years passed and you are touring with the film. And as much fun, you know, as it is, and it's amazing that people are requesting, you know, whether the film or for you to be there. But then the downside of it is that if you want to work on your next project, and this project I have been carrying it before Freda, you know, and I did Freda first, but now I'm really ready, you know, I'm ready to do it. So I realized that I just told my production that I have to stop traveling.
I see. Okay.
And as of May, I'm just gonna be focusing on that and really try to move forward with it and see if I can shoot by end of year next year, you know, 2023. So, and hopefully in 2024, you know, can exist.
Okay. So then we're not too sad about you not having in person with us, but it's the other side of the coin that you will have time to work on something great to come.
I hope.
And we'd love to see that one again. Thank you so much for sharing your time. We could continue, but thanks a lot for your insights. And I hope to see you in person one day.
Yes, me too.
Thank you. Thank you very much.